Welcome. Today I am here to show you a small infinite runner I've been working on, which I have dubbed Forget Cubey. Generally at the top here we have our score, we have our high score, which will be shown in a minute. I have not touched this run yet, so it is currently at 0. We have our goal at the end, and we have our player. So, the start button is mostly for people who don't want to start it immediately, but since we do, let's begin. So generally we just jump. Our only button we can actually input is jump, and we pretty much jump over these missiles. And I just shut off the death mechanic. It automatically stops once you have finished, and it automatically works on your high score. Your high score stays even at the reset of the layout, so you still have that high score. And let us start again. Generally there are some things I've worked on. I've worked on creating some particles for the player. I haven't created any for any of the other assets, and sprites, but I just want to work on getting the player's particles down. There are some things I still need to add to this, like sound and stuff, but generally it's almost finished here. I just have to add the sounds here, fix some minor tweaks, like the missiles are completely ready to go because of the fact you can see closely that there are some pixels that are still somehow there. But the high score is continuously updating. And another interesting thing is that the missiles actually speed up once you reach a certain distance. Like every 1,000 they speed up by about 10-ish%. About 10%. So, right here, once I get hit, I will show you. Alright then, so we've already seen how the gameplay works, we've seen the missile random generation, so let us jump into the actual code itself. Alright, here is our layout that we have right here, so let us jump into the actual code itself. I have a lot of variables for this, since I am fairly new to the whole game making process as a whole. So I have a number of distances, like I have the high score, I have the missile siege, which is changed, I have specific variables for buttons, how long it takes to speed up, how long it takes for scores and ground placement and all that stuff. Generally it works on one button as shown here. As long as any key is pressed, it will simulate jumping, no matter what key you actually press. And the missiles are spawned randomly every between 1 and 3 seconds along the y-axis, and the missile speed is very much dependent on how far you have gone, which is very much dependent on the speed up. I have the multiple buttons laid out, I have the scores, and I've made it so the buttons automatically start the process itself. And I also have the ground placement, which is for the infinite runners as usual, and it pretty much sets it along the layout width and layout height. It sets the ground speed to 400. The player's also set to 400 at the beginning of the layout. You set at 00. These ground objects are created at 00 to help actually make this system work. And let me show you some other things about this system. The particles are displayed right here. These particles are mostly for the player, just to show his running almost, and pretty much, if I go back to the event sheet right here, whenever the player jumps, the particles are pretty much turned off, and when he is moving or he has landed, it sets it back to 20 pixels per second, pretty much. The cone here is fairly small to try and replicate the movement that has taken place here. I do need to fix this a little bit, just a wee bit, just so we can get that working. And that is generally all I have to share with this. There's not too terribly much to it. The only thing interesting here is that this is sort of not very very significant to the actual process as a whole. It sort of spawns it along this. The ship sort of spawns the missiles along an image point that has been created here, but generally all it really does is move up and down for the entire process as a whole, just to get the missiles going, and that's probably one of the reasons why the missiles sometimes like to fly up above hit their heads, the player's head. The player itself, just the very general, I cannot speak today. Blah. The player is a general platformer behavior on it that is always set to move right, all this stuff. And there really isn't too terribly much to this. It isn't as simple as the Pong game itself, but there is not like a crazy amount of depth to this. This is meant more as like a training exercise for any major endeavors that I may have in the future. But I think it is a fairly decent game to play, and I think personally that it is fun. Alright then, guys, thank you guys so much for watching this, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I guess please subscribe for more, just like everyone else says in the universe. But I really hope you enjoyed the video.